if they see this as a way of a sign of betrayal, given that Europe feels kind of left out of the conversation due to the peace deal that America and Russia is cooking up.
Yeah.
I find it kind of interesting how Europe is like, why aren't we invited to the meetings that you guys are discussing in order to create this peace deal and whatnot? While America, on the other hand, is like, we're trying to make this deal be successful so we can be able to uh, uh, help give back the land to the people of Ukraine. Another thing that makes this interesting too is like on the meetings again. It's very interesting how you have meetings like these, but you don't actually invite the country that you're trying to help.
Yeah.
So this has stirred up some weird drama uh, within the European Parliament, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting because again, Europe is like, well, if you're not gonna have us invite us to this meeting, then we will have to prioritize uh, ourselves in terms of getting talks going as quickly as possible so that we could be able to cut out the relationships with you entirely. So basically, and I don't know if this is going to benefit the United States if Europe decides to cut off negotiations between the United States due to this action that was taken by the United States. Pretty funny. It's funny because all this time, Europe had the chance to do something, but it seemed like just from the outside looking in, right? It seems like Europe has, I don't know if the war has been, I don't want to say beneficial for them to just like watch and do quote unquote nothing.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden that some action is trying to be taken. You guys have been in your seats for all this while and haven't done a single thing. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, why are we being left out? You're being left out because there's some ounce of incompetence within. Yeah, that's at least how I see it in a way. Find it very interesting. But we'll see how this plays out all the coming days. Um, yeah, I just want to say in brackets, um, to the folks who are traveling and have no choice but to take flight due to their uh, work schedule and how their work looks like. Just stay prayed up, be prayerful, um, stay positive, keep a positive mindset, positive energy all throughout because, bro, have you been hearing this talks about plane crashes or whatnot?
Yeah, seriously. A lot of them actually.
Kind of reminds me of the movie Leave the World Behind or Knock on the Cabin.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't heard about the Googies.
Well, it's pretty foreshadowing to say the least. So just be mindful, keep positive energy, stay prayed up before boredom plays because what's going on nowadays is pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild. and we'll see how it goes. Another thing that in the basketball world recently, what we heard was Victor Wembanyama and how he's going to miss the rest of the season due to blood clot on his on his arm.
Seriously? I didn't hear about that, actually.
Yep, unfortunately. And it's crazy because he was a runner-up, a clear runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year easily. Right, this was an award that he was going to win easily due to the numbers that he's racked up throughout this season. So it's quite unfortunate that this is kind of how his season is going to end. Very unfortunate, really. Very unfortunate. And this was this diagnosis took place right after the All-Star weekend. So they checked him and they saw that though he had a blood clot. After he himself wasn't feeling that great. So um they say the risk is not that much. Because some folks I saw are trying to compare it to the same medical issue that Chris Bosh also had. But the difference is Chris Bosh had it in his lungs, which evidently had to force him to retire. So in this case, from what the experts are saying, a blood clot being on his arm it can be controlled and handled with the right procedures to get it off his bloodstream and get him into full health again. It's very unfortunate. Really. It's very unfortunate. Seriously. But I've heard a lot of talks, and this is where the conspiracy heads come in and whatnot. Oh, it's the vaccines and whatnot. Um, Look, I'm not one to fully jump into something if I'm not really familiar with it. But from what I've heard, if you're a tall guy, you're bound to have something like this on you. It's not 100% with every single tall individual. It's rare, but at the same time, it does happen. It does happen. So, yeah, very blood clots that take place due to the vaccine injuries, during. Hey, the proof is in the pudding. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of that happening. So, I mean, but I'm not sure 100% that this is the case with Victor. So, I can't really speak on that 100%. But it's just so freaking sad for Victor because I really want him to win that, especially given that last season he came close against Rudy Gobert to actually win that trophy. So, and a lot of people made some argument that it should have been him, but when that didn't happen, they were, oh well. I mean, next season he's gonna clear, and this season he definitely lived up to the hype. He definitely lived up to the expectation and what, especially his organization, San Antonio Spurs, have drafted him for, which is him being not just an offensive option when they need him, but also a defensive force to be reckoned with. Yeah. So he did an amazing job defensively, and man, it's going to be rough not seeing him hoist that, but yeah, I suppose in this case, congratulations in advance to the individual who is the next runner-up for the trophy.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not going to be Rudy Gobert. Just say. Yeah, because I got my, yeah, okay, we just serious about that. Certain way some folks can talk about you and whatnot, or there's a certain tone someone might bring towards you, and it's like in a condescending and disrespectful way.
Mm.
I don't know. Have you experienced something like that?
Yeah,
Well, then,
definitely.
can you tell me some examples that have transpired?
Yeah, like for example in school, because this happens a lot in school, especially with kids. And like for no reason, like they'll just want to like downgrade you.
Hmm.
Like for literally no reason. Like they'll have like no motive, no nothing. Just like for the feel of it.
For the food.
They'll just bring out like a random like topic or like something and like just make fun of you in some way of this.
And what kind of fun do they make? Like what kind of?
Like there was this time when like after gymnastic, I was like sweaty, so I didn't really smell so good. So yeah, I smelled really bad.
Mhm.
And like my sweat, they were like, "Oh, what's that smell?" Like basically, I'm like, this like normal thing. Like you normally smell bad when you sweat,
Mhm.
but like they pushed it for no reason to another level. Like that was just disrespectful.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I was like, bro, it's not that deep. It's
Mm.
not that deep.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Just being overly condescending and disrespectful, and yeah, it's kind of like a classic pattern of young kids, um, just being utterly disrespectful and just full of no manners. Um, and again, I feel this happens due to um, not fully being trained at home, or fully being um, taught how to treat your fellow human being
Mhm.
from home. It's like I say, charity begins at home.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel that's one of the reasons why some kids, um, it, it's really easy for them to be disrespectful, be insultive, and they don't have any, they don't take any accountability, or they don't feel any type of way, any type of remorse on the words that they say or the actions that they take, because they're like, well, I mean, it's fun to us. So, and it gets worse when there are a bunch of them and it's not just one
yeah,
individual, right? There's a bunch of them just doing the same thing. Um, that's school where, and you know what the crazy part is? The crazy part is too, sometimes in most cases where it's like, you try to let the teacher know about this, and the teachers be like, well, it's, I don't know why the bullies, quote unquote, just, it's hard for them to even get a slap on the wrist. It's just like, well, I mean, you know, we'll just tell them not to do it again. But yeah, and that's pretty much it.
yeah. Especially in Sweden.
It's, yeah, I mean, in Sweden it was worse too, because like there was absolutely no proper teaching on how this should be prevented, and then people wonder why violence erupts out of schools and whatnot, increasing violence erupt and whatnot.
Yeah,
Obviously, there you have the states where things can get pretty interesting.
hmm
Fireworks, literally. Um, so yeah, we know how that goes out. But yeah, bullying is really, I feel like, trauma that started from home
yeah,
and ended up spilling out in the public. It's like emotions that haven't been properly tamed and properly been uh,
controlled.
taken care of,
Oh,
and now is spiraling out of control. And you see the end result of that. through the actions being taken in school. So, because I felt like I remember thinking about it, and I was like, if some kids were probably properly taught how to behave,
Mm.
um, and just how to have human compassion and learn how to speak to their fellow human being, that they wouldn't be the way that they are in school,
Yeah.
just left to just do whatever. And then you look at the parents sometimes, and then the parents are even worse.
Yeah.
Like the parents have the most nastiest ghettoish attitude too. So then you look at a kid, and then you're like, okay, I see it now. It makes it. This makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not all the time that the parents are decent and whatnot. And oh, I don't know why Jeffrey would be this way. We taught him well. It's a rarity, because that's sometimes due to like bad friendships and bad circle. So they end up, because not all the kids are bullies, right?
Yeah.
It's mostly, sometimes it's like, oh, they feel like they want to fit in, so they have to act a certain way, talk a certain way, just so they can feel accepted in this circle of boys where they feel like they're the cool kids in school, and they can say or do whatever they want and they will be untouchable.
Yeah.
So, but in this most cases is nah. Sometimes the parents too not being proper individuals themselves and just being sort of rotten themselves. So I mean, the product is was very well evident that yeah, the kids will end up being exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise about. But that's why I was thinking about this, because I felt like it was really important how growing up, as you grow,
Yeah.
how important it is as an individual to set the tone first.
Mm.
Being the individual who, because people, you can't control people's attitudes or people's way of life or whatnot. All you could do is just, you know, properly train yourself on how to handle social uh, uh, interactions.
Yeah.
Like learn how to uh, learn how to interact socially. Learn how to be calm in the midst of a storm. When the storm being someone just being condescending, just being loud, or just being temperamental for no apparent reason. And you just being like, why is this person acting this way? Why do they sound this way? I mean, there's a lot that could go into that. Um, People obviously are different. No one is the same.
Yeah.
But I feel it's important as an individual to set the tone by letting the individual know that this will not be tolerated. I cannot tolerate this. Um, you can't speak to me that way. You
Yeah.
can't. I mean, you may have gotten away with talking like this or acting this way with others, but not with me. You know, sometimes you know what's really interesting. You know what I found interesting?
What?
That you don't always necessarily need to utter these words as in being yo yo yo. Hey, no, you don't talk to me that way. Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
your silence and your s- uh, the way you observe that individual,
Mm.
your um how you look at them, how you view them.
Yeah.
Would you and just sit still and just look at them, and then being like with no emotion whatsoever. That actually, I've noticed that actually speaks volumes, because there will be times where It's either like a coworker or a coach, teammate will sound a certain way, and you just sit there and just look like don't say anything, and then all of a sudden, when they see the way you reacted or the way you perceive that situation, how you handled that situation, then they'll kind of like gather themselves and be like, obviously they will not apologize,
Yeah.
right? But they will be like, they'll get themselves and be like, oh, okay. Because subconsciously now you have translated that look that you got in your face,
Mm-hmm.
letting them know that um I don't I don't accept the words that are coming out of your mouth. Yeah. I don't deal with this kind of behavior. Um Obviously I can control the words that are coming out of your mouth, but with me, you will not act this way with me because I'm not going to let you be condescending towards me. You know. Now, obviously, you can voice this out, which is the most classic ways to do it, which is not a bad way to do it too. Just setting the tone, letting them know that no, you can't. You would talk like Westerner. You know, you can. There's a way you can. It's called uh, give a constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there is a way you can give a constructive criticism without being condescending. Right,
Yeah.
being insulting and being derogatory towards your fellow human being, right?
Mm.
Um, this kind of reminds me of the interaction between Dennis Schröder and the German coach when they were on a timeout and the coach was saying something and I think they had like an altercation or like where Schröder was like, no, it's kind of like an argument. And the coach kind of like dragged him as he was leaving and yanked him back. And Screw was like, well, hold on a second. You don't get to do that to me. Like, that's like, you're my coach, yes, but I won't tolerate this sort of disrespect. And man, I didn't want Germany to win at all. I will tell you that much. I was not with Germany. But I will tell you this. I appreciated that because you people were like people and I saw the comments were ridiculous. They were like, "Oh, he's the coach. He has to when he says something, you gotta that's what being a player is like." No, it's not. When you know who you are, when you know yourself, no, there are certain things that you can accept and understand. When a coach tells you to be quiet, yes, you have to be quiet, right? Especially when you're in the wrong, right? And then you be quiet. But there's a way that a coach will act that surpasses that constructive criticism or trying to convey proper correction to your action or what you've done, but do it in such a disrespectful way where it's like, okay, um, this is something I'm not going to accept. Yeah. But it varies because not everyone, that's why I feel this conversation is important because not everyone has the courage to stand up. Some people just sit there and take the humiliation and the disrespect, you know? Mhm. And I feel it comes to the core understanding of knowing how to um, handle um, social interactions. No, I wouldn't say being an expert on social interactions, but just knowing from your own point of view that, yes, I understand that people are different and there are certainly different ways that people can convey um, their idea onto you and what they think about you or what they think about a certain situation, how you should handle the situation. But at the same time, if it passes this line, if it crosses this line where it seems derogatory and disrespectful, if you sense an ounce of disrespect, this is very key, right?
Mm.
And I'm telling you this to so you know, this is very, very, very key. If you sense an ounce of disrespect and you let it slide, it will keep on repeating itself.
Yeah.
If you just let it slide, oh, it's nothing. It's just one time thing. It's all good. It's just, no, don't allow that to happen because if you do, keep on repeating itself because then the individual, whether it's a coach, teammate, coworker, whatever the case may be, will see that as a weakness. They'll be like, oh yeah, I could tell them whatever when they're just going to sit there and take it. That's why it's important to first be strong as an individual, not just physically, but mentally. Be mentally strong because people are different. Like people will find ways to want to belittle their fellow human being and to be derogatory each other way, especially people who have issues with themselves internally and they haven't solved their own personal issues. So when they haven't solved their personal issues, so when they go out in the outside world, then all the anger and frustration that they have internally, they just throw it out and onto people. So
Yeah.
um, they don't need to be in a social gathering. I feel like they need therapy. That's what they need. But hey, that's not that they are here or there. But yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on. I feel like it was important. This is episode 6 of Put On the Armor.
Yep.
Uh, until next time, I'm Adrian.
And I've been Alan.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.